Hi guys, so can you hear me? If yes, please type a yes in the chat box so that I know that you can hear me. Good, right, okay, so today, as you see, we're going to talk about Feng Shui and the money problems that we're facing. So get your pens and paper ready. Yeah, Angelica says, welcome for the opportunity. Yes, it is a great opportunity. And I myself am very, very grateful for the knowledge that I got because as I was studying and applying Feng Shui over the years, it was hugely important for me to be able to apply it and see the effects. And the purpose of this webinar that we're going to do right now is to see what knowledge you can get from this and actually apply into your house. Now, Feng Shui is a very complex art. It's a very complex thing that we need to study if we want to apply it quite rigorously. And I hope that through this webinar, I will catch your attention and I will make you interested in the subject because it will be very hands-on, very applicable. But last but not least, the idea is that, as you'll see, a lot of it has to do with the right attitude, right? So for example, when we talk about money, right? I want you to already get into the let's do it kind of bit, right? This is not supposed to be some theoretical, entertaining thing. This is supposed to be, or I want it to be, and I hope you want it to be as well. I want this to be a launch pad for you, right? So I want this to be a launch pad for you to take your life to the next level. I've always approached Feng Shui from a very, very practical perspective. When I learned it, I wanted to immediately apply it. When I immediately applied it, I got some results. I made some mistakes. Don't think that you won't make mistakes because there's no such thing as doing something new for the first time and not making mistakes, but that's fine, right? Because the idea is that right now, without making those mistakes, you don't have that knowledge, which can actually take you to the next part. So, talking about this next part, right? I want to start right from the very beginning with saying what this Feng Shui webinar is not about and what Feng Shui is not about, right? And what it will not help you. Because in my practice, I've seen this happen, unfortunately, and I've seen this happen, you know, in all countries because I've talked to a lot of people in Malaysia, in Europe, in Romania, in many, many parts of the world. And people are all the same, right? The psychology of people is all the same. You get good attitudes and bad attitudes, no matter where you are, because that's just it, right? So from the very beginning, I want to stress out that in order to have success with Feng Shui, you need to have an action plan. Feng Shui will not be a substitute for an action plan. You actually really need it, okay? So the idea is that we need a business plan. You can't just say, well, you know, I don't know anything about business. I don't know anything about finance. I don't want to learn anything. I'll just use Feng Shui to improve it. Not working, right? So the first thing that you will get asked by a Feng Shui consultant, if somebody else is doing your Feng Shui for you, if the consultant is a good one, is what are your objectives and how do you actually plan on getting there? Guys, please make a note. Right? So the idea is that we can't just sit there and say, well, you know, I'm getting this Feng Shui done, or I'm learning Feng Shui, and that will save me. You know, I won't have to do anything. No. Feng Shui is an amplifier. It's a catalyst, right? So it has to amplify something. It needs to catalyze something, right? So if Feng Shui is able to double or triple or 10x your efforts, if your efforts are 0, 10x 0 is 0, right? So this needs to be stated from the start, right? Again, another thing that I want to avoid, yeah, having a bad attitude, someone else's fault. Yeah, it's because of the government. It's because of the pandemic. It's because of, you know, guys, I've met many, many people, and during the pandemic time, a lot of them have gone up, a lot of them have gone down, right? So the pandemic is just a crisis. And in times of crisis, everyone who actually makes money knows that it's a great time for opportunity, right? There's a lot of stuff going on. We'll talk a lot about that, especially in the career part. But in this part where we talk about making money, we know that there are a lot of opportunities that weren't there before. Of course, there's also the idea that you can't, remain passive. You can't complain. You can't just, oh, well, I can't keep doing the same thing that I was doing. And, I'm not getting the same results with doing what I was doing before. Of course, you're not getting the same results. You need to adapt. But Feng Shui can help you in that adaptation if you have an action plan and if you have the right attitude. What does that mean, to have the right attitude? The right attitude means you need to be proactive. You need to stop thinking about the negatives and focus on what you can do. Don't let what you cannot do or circumstances from the outside stop you from focusing on what you actually can do, because there's always something that we need to do, we can do, and there's always a solution to a problem, right? And then, not enough financial education. If you don't know the solution to your problem, you probably have this, right? You probably have the problem of not enough financial education. If you don't know what to do, someone else does, right? So either you get help from someone else, and there's a Feng Shui strategy for that too, or you get learning yourself, and there's a Feng Shui strategy for that too, right? But the idea is that these we need to take note of, okay? Right. Again, laziness has nothing to do here. You need to get your gears going. You need to get actionable. You need to get down and dirty and do, and put in the effort. You got to have skin in the game. You can't just stay home, watch TV. I've read about some good Feng Shui techniques, or I've been to this Octavian's webinar on Feng Shui, and I'm going to get more money by just watching TV and doing nothing. No, you can't do that, right? You need to get moving. Wanting more but doing nothing. Now, again, some people might say, come on, why bore us with all these things? Guys, I'm saying this because you would be amazed. You would be amazed by how many people say, yes, 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 of course, this is common sense. But actually what they do is just sit on their asses and do nothing, right? I'm talking from my own personal experience as a consultant, right? So you need to get down and dirty. You need to make it happen for you. And when you get into trouble, when you see that the results that you should be getting aren't coming, then you see if there's something wrong with the Feng Shui. Because if you're doing it right and the Feng Shui is good, you'll take off like a rocket, right? If you're doing it wrong and the Feng Shui is good, not much will happen. You'll see that you get some opportunities, but for some reason you fail. If you're doing it wrong and you have a bad Feng Shui, then of course nothing good is going to happen. Yeah, but you need to start with the good stuff first. Right. So my question to you, the first and very, very most important question is, why are you here? Again, if you're here because you've got nothing else to do, if you're here because you like entertainment and you like to learn stuff, that's fine. But my desire for you, and I invite you to make this your desire as well, if this sounds reasonable to you, is to make your time worthwhile. And what does that mean, to make your time worthwhile? Make it change your life, because this is what it's all about. You don't want to have this webinar and have the information and say, so nice, it was so interesting, yeah, and then keep on doing your life like you are, yeah? So the idea is, if you get some information that is directly actionable, are you ready to take action on it? Because if you're not ready to take action on it, it doesn't matter. You might as well watch Netflix, right? So guys, I will assume, and I will be talking to those of you that are ready to make a change in your lives. This is very, very actionable, and I will give you a lot more resources, and there will be some special bonuses and special stuff for you at the end. So bear with me. There's going to be a very exciting piece of the presentation right at the end where I'm going to give you much, much more, right? So I hope you're prepared to do something. So let's talk about symptoms of Feng Shui money problems. Let me just get my watch so I see how much time I have. If I remember where I put it. Yeah, okay. Right, so the idea is that what we want, how do we recognize these? Yeah, how do we recognize money problems that are coming from Feng Shui? Like, for example, we're working hard, but not earning enough. Yeah, we're working and we're working and we're working, but we just don't seem to get anywhere, right? Or maybe we feel that we're not getting enough opportunities. Or maybe we feel that, yes, we're working hard, we're getting that money, but money comes, money goes, right? And it's like, you know, I take it and then I give it, and then what's in it for me, yeah? All these are symptoms of Feng Shui problems. So if you find yourself doing these, you probably have one of these, right? Again, symptoms of Feng Shui money problems. Remaining small. Remaining small meaning, like for example, you have a long time business, right? But this long time business is not really going anywhere. It's just it's kind of going nowhere. And you see people around you grow, and this is especially true in companies, right? You see that others are getting promotions, others are moving forward, you know, and then you're just sitting there trotting along slowly, and you know, not happening, yeah? Or as a business, remaining small. Again, as a business, there's a whole discussion on that, because remaining small in a business usually has to do with the fact that you don't want to let go of control and you don't want to grow your team. And that is the primary cause of remaining small. But if it's not, if you're actually open to developing a team and you're prepared to do what is necessary for your business to grow, but it's just not growing, you probably have a Feng Shui money problem, right? Or you don't have any connections, right? You don't really know how and who to call, how to enter into a market, how to get an inside scoop into a company, or you know, you don't have any people to open doors for you. This is one of the most precious things that Feng Shui can help us with, right? Obstacles, right? If you have obstacles, for example, just the other day I was helping a couple, and he's a businessman, quite a successful businessman, and he earns money, but the problem is that it is so incredibly hard to make things moving, because like every step forward is a fight. It's like he's fighting against the current, right? If you feel that yourself in your life, this is probably one of the problems, one of the reasons. You might have some hidden Feng Shui problem, and then this is what we're going to talk about, right? So the idea is that sometimes the house, the apartment that we live in can actually be a block. So we would be better off in a completely different house, or we could remain in the same house, but actually learn how to use it, learn how to harness it, right? So this is what we're talking about. And let's see, you know, there is this thing called a personal breaker. So for example, right, one of the main reasons why a house can be blocking us is that it is designed in such a way that the areas in which we spend time in are those areas which have the energy that is exactly opposed to our kind of energy, right? So what am I talking about? Have a look at this chart, right? So we're talking about, this is a Batsa chart. So anyone here who has never seen something like that? Please write something in the chat box so that I know that, just so that I know. Anyone here who has no idea what this is? Let's see. Everyone knows? Really? Okay. Right. Good. Okay, I'll explain to you guys. Okay, so most of you, I think it's familiar to you. So this is called a Batsa chart, right? This is Chinese astrology. Yes, 4 pillars, like Emily says. So this is a Chinese astrology chart, right? So in Chinese astrology, what we have, sorry, not a second. So what we have here, right, this part, yeah, this is the year part, this is the month, day, and hour of birth, right? So the idea is that this part here, which is the year part, yeah, you see this is called rat. So those of you who have listened to some metaphysics videos and stuff like that, you know that last year was the year of the rat. So this is, if you're born in the year of the rat, you're going to have rat here, yeah? If you're born in the month of the rooster, you're going to have rooster here. If you're born in the day of the rabbit, you're going to have rabbit here. And if you're born in the hour of rooster, you're going to have rooster here, right? So this is what it's all about. So the idea is that what we want to see is what animal we have in our parts of the chart. And by the way, if you don't know how to plot a parts of the chart, you just Google it, yeah, Google parts of the chart, and then just go there. There are a lot of applications on the web that you can find, and you can just plot your parts of the chart. You enter your birth date, and your year of birth will give you what animal you have. So what do we do with the year of birth? Basically, the year of birth in the parts of reading is related to opportunities that come our way, right? So this is the relationship with the outside world. This is the relationship with the exterior. What we want when we do metaphysics, when we do Feng Shui, is we want to connect to opportunities from the outside. We want to use Feng Shui when it comes to money, yeah, to get more opportunities for us to earn more, right? So this is why we look at this pillar when we do Feng Shui, right? So what do we do with it? Well, in the parts of the chart, yeah, the animals, as you see them here, yeah, you see the animals here, and the idea is that each and every animal, yeah, you see here, snake, dragon, rabbit, tiger, ox, and so forth, right? So all of these are actually animals that correspond both to time and to space. This is the magic of parts and Feng Shui done together. You have, in this case, yeah, in the previous slide that you saw, the person was born in the year of the rat. And you have here, yeah, you see it here, yeah, this is rat. This is the time of the rat. But here you see it put on this ring that represents the cardinal directions. And you see that this area here, which is in the middle of the north sector, this corresponds to the rat. Now, why do we care about it? Because the exact opposite of it, yeah, the exact opposite is the horse, right? So these are actually opposite. Why do we care? Because the horse has an energy which is directly opposite to the rat. Why is that important? Because if in this sector of the house, we do a lot of stuff, if we sleep, if we work, if we activate it, yeah? For example, if we have a door that opens there, what happens is that we're going to really activate this energy, which directly counters, yeah, this energy. And this energy, as I was saying earlier, is the energy that for someone born in the year of the rat brings opportunities. So what does this do? It counters those opportunities. It kind of makes you flow against the flow. It makes you need to swim against the current in order to get all these, right? So whatever you try to do in your life, you'll find that it's like swimming against the current. It's like swimming up the river, right? This is what it feels like. So this is one of these things that can actually be a block. So if, you know, we talked about, you know, how we can feel blocked by everything. This is why. Now, this is one of the things that you can learn to spot in your house. So you just need to look at your year of birth, see what animal you have, take a picture of this, see what animal is directly opposite, right? So for example, if you're for example, you know, if for example, you are born in the year of the rabbit, which is Mao, yeah, but you'll see this when you plot your parts of chart, your personal breaker is Yo, right? So this is the personal breaker. So this is actually countering the Mao. So you don't want to activate this area of your house, right? So this is a very simple technique, but you'd be amazed by how many cases I've seen that are struggling from just this perspective alone, right? So you don't want to miss this out. Okay, so let's move further. Hang on a second. So for example, right, as I was saying, you have this year, yeah, this year breaker. In our example, it was the horse, which was the year breaker of the rat. And you have this area in a certain part of the house. And you don't want to sit there. You don't want to activate it. You don't want to spend any time there, or you don't want to have opening doors or anything like that. Or, for example, it might be that your year breaker is actually it's a personal breaker, yeah? It's activated by an outside form. Like, for example, if you have a pylon like that, which falls exactly on that direction, then you got a problem, yeah? Because you need to block it, you need to remove it, you need to do something about it, because otherwise you'll just continue fighting against the current, yeah? Or, for example, another problem that has to do with money, right? For example, when we talk about energy, when we talk about entering into a house, and we want this energy to come in the front door and then accumulate. Yeah, we want to have a wide space and then accumulate there, because this is what we want. Yeah, like, for example, if you want to bite something out of a cookie, right? Let's say that you have a good cookie and you only get one bite out of it. You want to have a big bite out of it. Yeah? So when you open the door and you let energy in, you want your house to get a big bite of that energy, right? But if in front of the main door, you have a very small and narrow hallway, or you, like in this case, for example, you have this very big dining and living room, but the energy coming in the front door is actually being blocked by this wall and cupboard. That is a very small bright hole, right? So this is what you want to avoid, okay? Right, moving on. When it comes to the front door, oh, by the way, when I'm saying this, yeah, what was the effect? What do you think, guys, is the effect of this? Quickly write in the chat box. Let's see what you think. So if someone has this, what do you think is the main effect on the Feng Shui? Yeah, when I say the Feng Shui, when I mean, you know, what do you think the inhabitants are going to experience? How do you feel? How do you think that this is felt, right? Maria says, blockage of money, energy is pushed back, Gabriel. Less money coming, also not much customers. Yes, yeah, exactly. So all that is true, right? Now, you don't want that, yeah? And it's not affecting only money, right? We're going to talk more today about money, but it's affecting everything. It's affecting relationships, it's affecting, to some degree, smaller degree, yeah, but it can affect health, especially when you're trying to get better. It doesn't allow fresh energy to come into the house, right? But especially when it comes to opportunities from the outside, money, helpful people, relationships, anything that is supposed to come from the outside to you, it's blocked, right? And it's as simple as that. Now, sometimes people, in this case, for example, if you own this apartment, you would want to take down this wall. In other cases, it's not so much that the space is crammed physically by walls, it's just that people cram stuff in there. And, you know, they put a lot of boxes and a lot of, you know, it's a mess. And when you enter there, it's like, you know, you have to do like that over things because you can hardly step on anything because there's just so much stuff being crammed. So you want to maximize this area as much as possible. Anyway, moving on. How do you think that this is going to affect money issues? Yeah, how do you think this is going to reflect on money? Let's see what you think. Loses money, says Corina. Yes. Why? Because the idea is that we assume that this is the front door, right? So when energy comes, what you want is to receive the energy and then embrace it, keep it, store it so that you can use it. When this happens, when you have the front door aligned with a back door, energy comes in, energy goes out. Imagine money flowing, yeah? You got money, oh, you haven't got money because you need to give it away, yeah? It's like, you know, you take it and then you give it away, right? So the idea is that this is the classic part where you can be as prosperous as possible, but it's always a question of, oh my God, you know, how much more do I need to earn to keep up with the spending, because just goes away, and this is the problem, right? So what do you do for something like this? you want to mask it, yeah? If you have a door, you keep it closed. If you have a window, it's not so serious, but if you keep opening it, it is. In my experience, I've actually seen that some effects are feelable by the people living there, even if it's just a see-through window, right? So on the same principle that if you see something from the outside, the energy from there can come in. If from the inside you see something on the outside, it's much easier for energy to also go out. Not as easy as, you know, opening the window or door. So it's much worse if that door or window is actually open, because then there's an exchange of energy and that money goes out, but bad enough, right? So you want to have something that, if you have a door, a see-through door or a window, you want to maybe mask it with something that lets light in but is matte, so you don't actually see outside. Or you want to put something in between the front door and the back door, so you actually don't see the back door from the front door. And this, as simple as it sounds, in my experience, has made incredible changes. Yeah, this is something that the person can do with you there, or you can do it, right? When you're there, if you look at your front door and look from the door frame in, what does the energy see when it comes inside? If there's something like, I see the outside, I see the other side of the house and going outside, you want to mask that, yeah? And that will help you keep that money that is coming, right? So it'll limit the expenses significantly. Right, what about this one, right? This one is a classic. Actually, I was looking for something else, and then I found this image and I said, oh my God, this is something I need to show them, because this, you see it, you look at the front door and you look at the scenery and it's so picturesque. You know, it's that picture postcard. Oh, where have you been? Oh, I've been in the Bahamas. I've been in this exotic place. I've been in this, you know, I don't know, some exotic place which is expensive and luxurious and all that. Actually, if you look at this, if you were to live in there, this is very, very bad. Yeah, why? Because these trees are actually one would be bad enough, right? So this is called piercing heart shock. It actually pierces the heart, which is the energy that comes through the front door. Now that there are two, they actually create an additional bad shock, which is called the sky crack, right? So basically, it's kind of a narrow thing. Yeah, it's kind of a tunnel. And like any tunnel, it accelerates energy. And that energy is further amplified by the huge empty space, which is the sea, plus the agitation that comes from the sea. And there's a lot of energy hitting this front door hard. So this is called looking good, but actually, if you go a little bit deeper, there's a lot of problems for money and a lot of other things for these people, right? So you don't want that. You want to not see anything obstructing the front door. You don't want anything that is like a pole or something sharp in front of your front door, right? Right, but now let's talk a little bit about the financial capacity of your house. So there is this thing called the financial capacity of your house. Why are we talking about this? Because when you think about optimizing the Feng Shui, the limit is your house. And also we'll talk a little bit later on about when you are the limit, and that's the problem when that happens. But just to check in with you, how do you find it so far, guys? Do you find it interesting? Am I going too quick or too slow? How do you find it? Let's see. I'm waiting for your feedback so that I can go on. Karen says, very interested. Good, 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 good. Okay, right. So I'm trying to make it as relevant to you as possible. So, you know, I'm trying to give you a lot of practical examples, and hopefully you will find that some of you may apply to your house, to your apartment. By the way, when I say house, bear in mind that it can be house, apartment, anything that you live in, right? So anything with 4 walls and a roof, that's a house, right? So I'm not going to make a distinction between a house and apartment, because at this moment in time, it's not important. Right, so what about the capacity of your house? The idea is that the house is only one of the elements in Feng Shui. The environment is also important, and also then there are the structural main things that characterize your house, as in how the internal space is divided, how the house is oriented in the cardinal directions, and all that, that are actually kind of completely constraining it. Yeah, so that is it. You can only optimize that house so much, right? So this is what we talk about, the financial capacity of your house. So when a lot of the time when we talk about Feng Shui, we don't only try to see what problems there are, we also see, you know, how good a house it is, how good an apartment it is, how powerful it is to generate wealth, health, relationships, and all that, right? So when we talk about that, we talk about the environment Feng Shui coefficient, right? So the idea is, have you got mountains? Have you got water? Yeah, why mountains and water? Because mountains are the emitters of qi. Basically, they take qi from the stars and they emit it further. So we want to be able to have mountains. They don't need to be high up mountains. Hills will do, but we want to have some, you know, up and down. We want to have some, you know, hills and valleys and all that, because that really increases the quality of the environment. And also, when we have water, that's even better, because water is a storage and an amplifier of that energy. Of course, there's a lot of rules about that. I'm just giving you, a kind of an overview. But the idea is that, you know, when you have mountains, when you have water, you can adapt. When you don't have anything, water you can still place, like for example an aquarium here or there, but mountains, you can't place mountains anywhere, right? Now, if you haven't got mountains, if you haven't got water, at least have you got an incline? Yeah, like for example, is your house somewhere that has a slope? Why is that? Because energy behaves like something fluid. It actually goes from higher ground to lower ground. And this is very important, because if we've got an incline, we know the flow of energy. And if we know first of all, that there is a flow of energy, because if we've got complete flat land, not so much energy flow. So if we know the energy flow, we can actually tap into it. We can direct it so it comes our way. If we haven't got that, not so good, yeah? If you got pylons, if you got anything like, you know, I'm talking about pylons because they're easy to identify. Of course, there are a lot more elements, yeah, negative and positive. But for example, if you got a lot of pylons, electricity pylons, antennas, whatever, yeah, sharp objects like these, then that takes the coefficient of the area down. Yeah, so that makes for a bad Feng Shui in the area. Now, let's deep dive and focus on the finances. And we're going to start with what is called the Shang Chi, right? So what is the Shang Chi? Shang Chi is the name of the prosperity sector, right? So everyone has this and every house has it, right? What does that mean? Everyone has it. Depending on our time, our date of birth, we each have a so-called prosperity sector. Don't worry about it, we'll get to it, right? So you have one that is completely independent from any house. You will have it, if for example, your Shang Chi is in the East, it will always be in the East, no matter what house you're living in, right? So that's something that you want to pay attention to. So if you know that it's in the East, whenever you're looking at a house and judging how much potential it has for you, you will look at what elements it has in the East, what flying stars it has in the East. If it's usable, if it's something that can actually be beneficial for you, and if you have good flying stars and it's beneficial and you can use it meaning you can sleep in it, you can work in it, that's best, because we're talking about prosperity. So if you can do all these things and the stars and the forms are good capacity of that house. If, for example, your Shang Chi is in the bathroom or in the cupboard, not so good, right? You can't really make use of it. Of course, the house itself also has a Shang Chi, and the Shang Chi of the house will mean, you know, what happens generally for everyone in the house, not regarding what their date of birth is. So basically, the prosperity is somewhere between these two, somewhere between the house Shang Chi and your Shang Chi, right? So you make an average of these, and that's it. If both are good, wonderful. If one is good, one is bad, so and so. If both are bad, don't go there, right? Because if you go into a house that has a very low capacity for making money, this is going to be very, very visible. And even with optimizing, there's going to be a very clear limit of what you can get in that house. So this is why we talk about capacity, right? But let's see, how do we find out what and where this Shang Chi is. So the idea is that we want to know, depending on what is called the gua of the house. This is like the trigram. The gua is a trigram, right? So we have 8 trigrams. Now, guys, if this is all very new for you, don't worry. I'm going to give you a lot more resources at the end of the presentation. I'm just showcasing you a way of thinking, right? So if this is too technical for you, I'm going to do my best to explain it. Don't worry. There's going to be a lot of resources for you guys to further your information. There's going to be also some special bonuses at the end, so make sure to stick with me until then. But I'm just trying to showcase how we think, right? So if you don't know your house gua, or if you don't know what this is, but I'm going to show you about that. Just bear with me for a second, right? Let's say we take any gua of the house. Let's say we take, let's say the gua of the house is 4. Yeah, this corresponds to southeast. For 4, the Shang Chi sector is going to be in the north. So once I have established where the Shang Chi of my house is, I want to have a look at what elements do I have there? What flying stars do I have there? What rooms do I have there? What do I have on the inside and on the outside of the house? And all that, right? Because that is going to really paint a picture of my finances, okay? So how do we get a lot more information? We take the house facing. Now, what is the facing? Yeah, it's that side of the house which is the most active. What does it mean that is the most active? Has the most windows, is closest to a bigger street. Yeah, the most active street that your house is close to. So we look at that, and this is the house facing. Let's say that the house facing is south. So if it's south, the direct opposite of the south is north. And if it's north, then I know that the gua of the house is 1, and then I know that the Shang Chi sector is southeast, right? So guys, if you want to take a picture of this, if you want to get a screen capture of this, please feel free to do so. So the idea is that you want to, you want to take a picture and try to identify where your Shang Chi is, and then find out more about that, right? Okay, so Maria says, what is the gua of the house? It's called the trigram of the house. Don't worry about it now. What you're most concerned about is try to identify the house facing. So from the outside, take a compass, see what direction is facing outwards from the house, and then take the exact opposite. So if the house facing is south, the sitting is going to be north. The Shang Chi is going to be southeast in this case, right? For any house facing, you have the Shang Chi sector. Don't worry if this is too complicated, if this is something that is too technical for you right now, don't worry, at the end there will be a lot more resources. Okay, anyway, so what do we do with the Shang Chi, right? So we look at the flying stars. So for example, right, if we have a sector in which the flying stars, and by the way, these are influences of actual stars, and this is something that we use in Feng Shui a lot. So for example, let's say that we look at this sector of the house, and this is from one house, and it so happens that in this house we have these stars, 3, 7, and 9, right? And when we look at finance, when we look at money, we look at what is called the facing star. Sorry, hang on a second. So we look at the facing star. Hang on a second. So at the facing star, this is the facing star. Yeah. So we always look at the one on the right, right? So this 9 is a very good one. Yeah, this is one of the best ones, right? Again, I'm just trying to give you introductory parts. This is not meant to be a comprehensive Feng Shui course. I will give you resources for that. There will be a special bonus for you guys at the end. I'm just trying to showcase how we think, right? So this is a great start to have on Feng Shui, right? Conversely, this one is bad. This one you don't want to see, right? Unless you're in some very specific industries, you can say that if you compare that one to this one, yeah, the Shang Chi of this house versus the Shang Chi of that house, then this is clearly much, much better, right? This is something that you want to see. So this is how we judge the capacity of the house. This is how we see it. Yeah, we look at it. Yeah, what flying stars do we have in the house Shang Chi? Do I like them? What flying stars do I have in my personal Shang Chi? Do I like them, right? Of course, right now, if you're new to Feng Shui, you don't know how to do that, don't worry. I'll give you resources to learn about that at the end. But just to clarify what I meant, right? Okay, let's move on. So let's say that the problem is the capacity of the house, right? If this Shang Chi, which is actually quite good because you see this one, yeah, this here, this is a very good star, yeah. This actually is called it's called the star of the cash flow, right? If this star of cash flow is actually in your cupboard, then you won't be able to use very much of it, right? So this is how we see it. This is how we think in Feng Shui terms, right? So yeah. Okay. 1 second. So moving on. What about missing sectors, right? So we go a little bit deeper. We look at working with the floor plan. So working with the floor plan, this is what it would like, what it would look like, and then we see that this here, this whole part is actually missing. If, for example, you have a house where the Shang Chi sector is missing, you don't even want to go there. Yeah, you don't want to optimize that, because if you learn Feng Shui, you will learn pretty quickly that you want to move out of that house. Why? Because missing sectors are something that are one of the very few things that are extremely difficult to counter. Yeah, because it's like you're missing a limb, right? You're missing a foot, you're missing a leg, you're missing an arm. It's very difficult to drive a car on 3 wheels. You can get a Mercedes, you can get any good car, you can get a Ferrari. If you take one of its wheels off, you've made it worse than an average car, because it just simply can't work, right? So similarly, when, for example, if you have a missing sector like here, and it so happens to be the Shang Chi, either your personal Shang Chi or the Shang Chi of the house, you don't want to do that, right? So this is why Feng Shui is useful, because it allows us to understand these things. Again, then we look at the front door again, right? So I'm moving a little bit to external forms, right? You see this house here? Yeah, you see this front door here. So this is the front door, yeah. And then the idea is that the reason why the front door is important is because energy is supposed to go in, right? But let's think that you're the energy, right? So what would you need to do? You need to go up the stairs. Yeah, that's what you need to do. Now, if I said that energy is actually kind of heavy and flowing, it's very easy to understand that the energy here, instead of doing this, what it is actually doing is that it's doing this. It's actually going out, right? So it's actually going out, right? Instead of going in. So that means that the house is actually taking energy from you instead of giving you energy. This is an extremely bad form. You don't want to live in this house, right? So these are some things that we learn to handle, right? And this to recognize and to not go there, right? You don't want to live in such a house, because this is something that is very, very difficult to counter unless you have another door that you can use. Going further, so we've talked a lot about problems that you can face, but what about how we can improve things? If your house is not disastrous, like some of the houses that we've talked about, what if we could improve things dramatically? Because sometimes a small change, changing the office, putting a water feature, that can have an incredible positive effect, right? So let's talk about some things that we can do. First and foremost, I've mentioned flying stars. So for those of you who are wondering, what are these flying stars? They're actually stars, yeah, they're all astronomical objects, but they're all flying stars because the rotation of the Earth and their own rotation makes them seem that like they're flying, right? But actually, they are astronomical objects and they have a certain influence. So the idea is we want to know what stars to use, right? So when we plot, when you learn how to plot a flying star chart, you want to know what to use, how to use it, right? So again, I invite you to take a screenshot of this and have it as a reference for you, because I don't have time to go deeply into these. I will go deeper into these things in the course that I'm going to talk to you about at the end, because if I got your interest, if you really want to learn about this stuff and apply it in your life, we're going to deep dive into all these things. But for now, just let's assume that you're working, let's say in real estate, okay? So if you're working in real estate, what stars should you use to get more prosperous, right? So the solution is these, right? 2 and 8. And 8 if you're an employee, 2 if you're a businessman, right? So the idea is that this is something that we really, really want to take note of, because in each industry, we have some stars and we have some energies that are specific to what we need, right? So the idea is that for anyone working in different industries, they would be working in different areas. They would be using different stars, right? Okay, guys. So I see that some of you are having trouble seeing it. I will perhaps send you a picture of this and send it to you by email so that you get it. Okay, I'll get my team to send it to you by email. Anyway, the idea is that we want to use the stars that we work with, right? So if I'm working in real estate, I want to use star 2 or star 8. If I'm working, like for example, a dentist, or I'm doing any fine work, any handicraft, then I want to use 6 and 7, right? So, you know, there's a lot of stuff that we can use, but using the right stars with the right energy makes all the difference in the world. And this is something that is not perhaps enough discussed in courses and in books, but I've found that this is incredible, right? Carmen is saying, where do we provide email? You've already provided when you register, if I'm not mistaken, right? So don't worry, we have the means to send this to you. So we can send it to you. Right, so for example, what if we're talking about the fixed annual, the fixed flying stars versus the annual flying stars, right? What am I talking about? So what I'm talking about is that, let's say that we take this sector into account. And we know when we learn how to plot the flying stars of the house, that once the house is built and starts to be inhabited, then it gets a fixed flying structure, yeah, fixed flying stars. So from that moment on, this Shang Chi will have these stars, yeah, 3, 7, and 9. Don't worry about what they mean yet, right? But just take note of the fact that they are fixed, they won't change. However, each year, there's also this thing called an annual flying star, which means that for that year in particular, you will have an additional influence of one of the stars, whatever flying star happens to be in that year, in that sector. In this case, for example, we have the fixed flying stars, and in this case, when we talk about money, we care most about this one, yeah? Sorry. We care most about the facing star. So this is the most important for us, right? And this is a very good one, right? But in this particular year, we know that the 5 is actually coming in. So what happens with this 5? It's actually going to interact and give it a flavor, give it a color to this 9. 9, for example, is about visibility, right? Is about the fire industry and all that. So if you're trying to make yourself more visible, if you're working on marketing, it's a very good stuff. But for that particular house in this particular sector, in this particular year, When you get the 5 influencing the 9, that will mean that you get a lot more problems with this visibility. Yeah. Karen is asking, Octagon, do you consider food, shoe industry as earth-related industry? And what about healing? Healing, it depends. If it's energy healing, then it's fire industry. If it's nurturing, then it's more like earth industry. And the food industry is more related to clothing. And I would say that as a wood industry, right? So the idea is that we want to take note of these because from one year to the next, we care where these end up because this is very, very important. Because based on that, we will make different recommendations, okay? So I'm just taking you through, you know, a bird's eye view of how we think, right? So this is not something that if you're completely new to Feng Shui, it's not a walkthrough of how to do it, yeah, because that would require a lot more information. I'm just showcasing you how Feng Shui can influence our financial realm and how we think. So hopefully I entice your curiosity to learn more, and at the end, I'll give you more resources to do that. Right. And then, of course, we can use water. Water is very, very strong in amplifying good stuff, bad stuff, yeah, but we can use it. So when we talk about water, we can see it on the outside, or we can actually place it inside. I was talking earlier about what is called the Feng Shui coefficient, right? So when we have natural water on the outside, or this can be a lake, a pond, a river, right? When it's on the outside, it signifies opportunities coming from the outside towards us. We don't need to do as much. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't need to do anything, but we don't need to do as much. They kind of find us. We make ourselves visible, but they come to us. When we talk about water in the inside, for example, placing an aquarium, and by the way, that picture is not a real Feng Shui aquarium. Yeah, this is a very, very small one. In Feng Shui, we use a lot bigger ones. Yeah, you can't make a, you know, like a coffee cup be an aquarium, right? You need something that is 100 liters or more. So when we place water on the inside, then you really need to work a lot more for that money because actually the effect of the water is on changing you, not so much on welcoming opportunities from the outside. Unless, of course, you're using some of the more advanced techniques, which mean that you use that water to connect from something from the outside, but then that's a whole different kettle of fish, right? So basically, you know, take this into account. External water, opportunities coming from the outside to you. Internal water, you work more for that, which is the reason why we want water to be on the outside. But if you haven't got water on the outside, water on the inside can actually make a huge difference too, right? So don't worry about if you haven't got any water on the outside. Right, so we want to make sure that if we have a water feature or when we want to place a water feature, where would we place it, right? Because there's a good part and a bad part. Yeah, we want to make sure that we place it on the good part. But also, what do we want more of, right? So what do we want more of? So if we want more cash flow, we want to focus on star 8. If we want more visibility and publicity and we're in the media or we're working on marketing and sales, star 9 is very, very good. If we want management, if we're in the decision making, if we're a leader, a CEO, someone in decision role, yeah, then star 6 is very good, right? How about the other ones, right? If we want to focus more on getting reputation and connections, then we want to amplify and work in the area of star 1. All these are facing stars, by the way, right? So it's the star that is on the right-hand side when you plot it. Right, and if we want to increase the entrepreneurial side, yeah, if we run our own business or have a leading role in the business and we want to, you know, really make that business flow more and get more opportunities for the business, star 2 is very good, right? Okay, so the problem with water is that even though it's so very nice, yeah, and it seems very simple, oh, I find the star, I place an aquarium there, for example, yeah, or I get a house which has the flying structure, which has my good stars with water on the outside on that particular sector. Obviously, it's much harder to get that unless you're looking specifically for that. But let's say you want to place an aquarium on that star that corresponds to what you want to emphasize, right? You can't just place an aquarium anywhere, right? Because water will amplify whatever is there, but sometimes it has a cost. Sometimes the cost is that it will deteriorate the health part, right? And we don't want to do that. Or the relationships, right? So for that, we have this. So what does this mean, right? It means that, for example, yeah, we have north here, northeast, east, southeast, south, southwest, west, northwest, right? So these are the cardinal directions and sectors. In period 9, which is going to last for another 20 years, these are the locations where it is safe to put water. What does it mean it's safe? It means that it won't harm the health part, right? Or the relationships. In the others, we would like to see mountains. So if we have a choice, we would like the mountains to be in the other sectors. And we would definitely want water to be in these. Yeah, but for now, forget about the mountains. We're focusing on water. So north, east, southeast, and southwest. These are the places where you wanted to see water for the next 20 years, right? So why for the next 20 years? Because when we go into star 1, there's a change in one of the biggest cycles of time, and these will change places, right? We will want to see water in the exact opposite point, right? But for the next 20 years, this is okay, right? So sometimes, you know, until now, I've placed a lot more emphasis on water, right? But what if the problem is not water? Sometimes we need mountains. And why is that? Water is said to be governing wealth, and mountains are said to be governing people. Okay, pretty vague, right? So what does it mean? What it means is that, for example, it depends what we want to strengthen. So again, as I'm going deeper and deeper, you see how much this is linked to objectives, how much this is linked to what exactly is the problem. So sometimes it is not that we don't get the opportunities, it's that we don't have the strength to actually hold on to that wealth. That is the problem, right? So if that's the problem, let's take this example, right? So this is a very interesting example. Now it's a little bit advanced, so if this is confusing you, don't worry. But for those of you who have had some exposure to Chinese metaphysics, I hope this provides an interesting information. So let's say that this person is born in 2008, September 24th at 5:30 p.m. This is the date birth, right? And this is the passage chart that you're getting. This here in red is the daymaster. So you see that this is a fire daymaster, right? But when is this fire daymaster born? It is born in the month of Rooster. Rooster is metal month, right? So this is autumn. Now think of it, if you're not familiar with the 5 elements in Chinese metaphysics, just think of it as in, you know, metal is autumn, right? What about the sunlight and the warmth, right? When they're strongest in the summer, right? When you go towards autumn and especially winter, then it's dead, yeah? So basically this thing fire is actually quite weak. We have metal here, we have water here, metal here again, the only thing, and metal here, yeah? And basically the only thing in this chart that is supporting it is this, yeah? So basically this rabbit here, this is the only thing that is supporting it, right? So this is why this is a very weak daymaster. Now in Bazi, if you know some basics about Bazi, you will know that this is something that means that this person finds it difficult to hold on to money, right? So in this case, you would not necessarily be using water. You would not necessarily be using an aquarium or an external source, because this person doesn't have the problem of not getting enough resources. This person has the problem of not having the internal resources to hang on to that money, right? So the idea is we want to strengthen this person on the inside. So that is when we want mountains, because the mountains are going to help this person get more energy on the inside. And when that happens, all these things, which are quite positive, right? For example, here, yeah, you see that this person has a lot of indirect wealth, yeah, in their chart. But because it's a very weekday master, what this is going to generate is something like, you know, this person sees the money, but it's not his. He's working in a business that produces a lot of money, yeah? He sees the money come in, he sees the money go out, it's not his money. That's the problem, right? So if this happens to you and you have a weekday master, you know that you want to use mountains, not water. This is something that is usually not talked about, because you need a little bit more background on this. But there are times when wealth actually goes through mountains, not so much through water. Okay? How do you find this, guys? Right? Is it interesting? Is there something new for you? Are you learning new things? Is it getting your wheels going? Yeah, are you thinking about this? Gabriela says yes. Okay, right, so moving on. Now, there are times when we can play with stars 2 and 5, right? Star 2 is a very good star, but it's very difficult to handle. Star 5 even worse, right? So usually if you're at the beginning level, you want to be on the safe side and avoid them. So these are reserved to the intermediate and advanced users of Feng Shui. But the idea is that for now, if you're in the beginning, you want to just you know, just not play with it, right? So guys, I hope that you're finding this interesting, because I've tried to give you a kind of an all-rounder on this. And the idea is that I hope that by now you kind of have an idea about how complex Feng Shui is, and also at the same time, how directly applicable it is. Hopefully you found some of the things applying to you, like for example, you know, a lot of the examples that we discussed. You know, and if so, if you find this interesting, and if you'd like to use Feng Shui to learn more, so that you actually can put your life in order, you can actually stop surviving and start, you know, living a little bit more comfortable, and then working towards thriving, then this is the moment where you should pay attention to, right? Because the idea is, I want to present to you this proposal, right? So I'm making this information available to you in a 3-tiered course. Now, the 3 tiers are not for everyone, right? Who is this for? Well, first and foremost, when we talk about Feng Shui, when we talk about learning anything that is directly applicable, of course, we can apply it, and we should apply it for ourselves first, before applying it to anyone else. So the first tier of the courses that I'm presenting to you is the standard one, and the main theme is, you know, get your life in order. Make sure that you're not losing money. Make sure that you're using your house at full capacity for yourself. Make sure that you put your life in order. Yeah, you stop having any major problems in your life, right? Now, that should be enough, right? And for those of you who are on that level, that tier, and we're going to talk a lot about that in a moment, that should be enough. But for those of you who are more interested, or for those of you who already have a grasp on basic Feng Shui, and you want to go a little bit further and study at a more professional level, the pro level, as the name also implies, is for you. So that's where we go much deeper, and we unlock much stronger formulas that require more advanced knowledge. And that's when we can become Feng Shui consultants and actually start doing it for others too. And for those of you who have a real passion, and you don't need to decide this now, you can decide as you do them, yeah. But for those of you who really, really want to learn all that, you know, is really the cutting edge of Feng Shui, some of the most advanced and powerful formulas yet, mastery level is for you, right? That's where we go really, really deep, and that's when it gets really extraordinarily fascinating, and that's where the huge power comes in, right? But again, start with the beginning. Yeah, start with put your life in order. So what is it about? Yeah, when you talk about, you know, put your life in order, yeah, the standard, this is the first tier, yeah, the put your life in order part. What do we learn? There's 3 modules here. One is about the fundamentals of Feng Shui. So you've seen me talk about, you know, the Shang Chi. You've seen me talk about flying stars. You've seen me about talk about taking the facing and all that. This is where you learn how to do all that. Yeah. And then also in this, we kind of put the foundations for going further. But already in module 1, you will have a very good basis to start from. And then in module 2, we go to much more advanced part of Feng Shui. And then in module 3, we talk about the external environment. In module 1 and 2, it's mostly internal, basically inside the house. Module 3 goes outside the house, and that's the whole focus for module 3. So basically, after these 3, you will have a very solid grasp on basic Feng Shui with a lot of instruments to make changes in your life. In Pro Feng Shui, we study a lot about the outside. Yeah, we study landforms, we study water formulas, and we also study, and this is a really interesting part, the Yin House Feng Shui, basically the Feng Shui of tunes, right? The oldest and most powerful form of Feng Shui. And then when we really go to the very advanced part, we study about Qi Men Den Jia Feng Shui, Shen Kong Dagua Feng Shui, and a lot of Chinese sounding names that are actually fascinating. And then the top of the top is, you know, harmonizing Feng Shui and Bazi and date selection, because actually they need to come together to really put the edge on it, right? So when we talk about, you know, module 1, what will you learn? Yeah, we have basic principles of Feng Shui. We have ideas of how we assess the energetic structure of a building. And we also learn how to predict the likely flow of events. Yeah, what's going to happen for these people living in this house before it actually happens, so that you know what the natural course would be if you don't do anything. And then you learn how to do some things if you don't like the natural course. What else do we learn? We learn about the flying stars and the 8 palaces. We learn about how to adjust Feng Shui according to time frame, basically short, medium, or long-term Feng Shui. And then we learn how to apply that in career, in money, in relationships, in health. And basically we learn how to stop bad things from happening and, you know, go to a very comfortable level. This should be enough to get you there, right? So basically we understand how to minimize the Feng Shui money holes. We've touched upon this in this webinar, right? And also we learn how to identify and tap into the most suitable energy in the house for your particular industry, right? So when we talked about the flying stars, for example, I was saying, you know, if you're, for example, in real estate, yeah, we're going to go through that obviously at a much deeper level, and you'll learn all about that so that you can do it for yourself at home. So, for example, when it comes to career, we're going to talk about increasing skills and learning abilities. We're going to talk about, well, actually, you're going to learn all these. Yeah? So you're going to learn about applying them. You're going to know how to do it for yourself. Yeah, optimize how you're seen, optimize working in teams, command more respect and authority from your colleagues, from your bosses, and obviously increase chances to get a pay raise or a promotion. When it comes to relationships, yeah, we will focus on improving communication, attraction, passion, harmony, basically improving all the levels that a relationship exists on, right? But not only that, but also tailor the Feng Shui to the specific needs of the relationship. Sometimes we need more passion. Sometimes there's too much passion and he or she is looking towards a potential other partner. So we want to make sure that it's stable. Sometimes the communication is a problem. We'll learn how to tailor this to every relationship's needs. Yeah, so you will learn how to do that. Health, we will go through the elements that are impacting health. And guys, I don't know if you know, but I'm a doctor and I'm also an acupuncturist. And this is my main area of specialty. I've been practicing acupuncture, basically Chinese medicine, for more than 20 years now. And this is how I came into the metaphysics part. And I can tell you, Feng Shui is incredibly powerful when it comes to health, either when generating health or we're actually generating disease. So you really want to, to make sure that for health, you've got a good Feng Shui. Otherwise, it may be that some of your diseases are actually caused by the house or apartment that you're living in, but you don't know it until you learn this, right? So it's better to understand and take control of your health through knowledge. And we'll go down to the level of individual organs. That's how deep we'll go. And this is just module 1, guys. Yeah? Take note of that. In module 2, we will go much, much deeper. So everything that we've learned, we'll go much, much deeper, and we'll talk about the capacity that we've touched upon, yeah? Capacity and flavors of the house and how to use them. And we'll also identify and tap into high performance areas. It so happens that many houses have what I call high performance areas, which is, there's a convergence of factors that make some areas, some spots in the house, incredibly powerful on the good side. Yeah, obviously it happens the same for the bad side, and obviously you want to know how to avoid them, but we also want to focus on spending time in those good ones, and we want to know where they are and what they're good for. This is what we're going to learn in module 2. Then we're going to talk about the advanced 8 palaces techniques, and this is something very interesting because a lot of the times we're learning only very basic stuff about the 8 palaces or Batai, yeah, but there's some interesting advanced techniques there that we're going to learn in module 2. And then we're going to talk about increasing these skills, yeah, intelligence skills, charm, attractiveness, right? And then in the health part, we're going to learn to make adjustments for individual organ level Feng Shui, right? What else do we have here? We're going to learn in module 2 about superior Feng Shui structures. So some structures are head and shoulders above others, right? They're hugely much better. And obviously they're going to propel some of those people in these houses at a huge, huge level. This is the difference between the haves and have-nots. This is the difference between people who are living in, who are driving a Porsche or a Bentley and people who are driving a much cheaper car, right? And we're also going to talk about how the energy changes on different floors of a building, because there is a change from second floor to third floor to fourth floor, yeah. And also here in this module 2, we're going to learn about yearly and monthly adaptations for fine-tuning this even more. Basically, even if we have a fixed Feng Shui that is good, we want to adapt it yearly to just squeeze out the best stuff, yeah, just make it cutting edge Feng Shui so that it really makes it high performance. And obviously, we're going to learn about flow and smoothness. Sometimes the energy is blocked, and we'll learn all about these blockages and how to identify and resolve them. And this will have the effect of making things come to you rather than you fighting for them and putting in a lot of effort. You'll still need to put effort in. I just want to make clear that, yeah, you will still need to work on that, but the opportunities are going to find you, and it's going to make life so much easier. Right, and the creme de la creme, the top of module 2 is the last part when we're talking about using water to completely change the energy structure of a house. So basically, if we have a structure of energy in the house which we don't like, in some cases, if the external allows us, we can use water placement on the outside of the house to completely change the energy structure of it. There's a specific formula for that. We'll learn how to apply it. We'll learn when to use it, when not to use it, because there's also that, right? So, what will we learn? Flying star structures, personalizing Feng Shui using the personal sector and Gua. So some of you guys were asking me, what is the Gua? This is not where we learn about the Gua. This is where we learn how to really personalize it using our personal sector, yeah, and our personal Gua. And obviously those are the house. We'll learn about peach blossom and auxiliary stars, and we'll learn about pure stars, pure elements. Don't worry if all these things sound Chinese or completely foreign to you. This is mainly information for some of you guys who have some knowledge of Feng Shui, and maybe you want to learn more about these, and this is what we'll cover, right? So we'll go about on special structures. We'll talk about shrink oil, purple, white, and we'll also cover something very, very important, which is the principles of Feng Shui activations. right? And also advanced chi manipulation techniques, which is what? Which is, you know, helping the energy get to where you want it, and then making sure that you place yourself there and tap into it, right? So basically, you control the energy to some extent, and you control where you are so that you tap into that energy. And this is an incredibly powerful technique that I've used again and again. I think I use it in 2 out of 3 cases. So now, putting a contrast between modules 1 and 2 and module 3, module 3 is on a completely different level, right? So everything that we talk about in modules 1 and 2 is kind of calculated, yeah, it's kind of theoretical. It's like having, you know, solar cells, but the whole idea of having solar cells is that you need to have the sun to charge them, right? So if you don't have the sun to charge them, when you calculate the structure of the house, it may be that the structure is incredibly good, but if it's not plugged in into a source, then it's worthless, right? So in module 3, we understand where that source of energy is coming from and how we can use it, right? So Feng-Shui module 3 of this first year, yeah, put your life in order part, is where we learn all about the environment, meaning, you know, we have a solid grasp. Yeah, obviously you've seen that in the pro level, we're going to go much deeper with this, but let's put that on hold for a moment. This is very, very important, yeah, because module 3 is where we learn how to tap into 70% of what Feng Shui is, yeah. 70% of Feng Shui is from the outside, is from the environment, and this is what we learn in module 3. So, for example, what do we learn? Fundamentals about landforms and water. We learn how to evaluate the Feng Shui of these external forms and the environment. And we also learn about good and bad elements, how to assess this whole external environment in natural as well as urban areas, and recognize the forces that actually are going to be exerted on the people living in that environment. This is very, very important, right? And not only on individual level of house, but also on entire residential areas, on energetic relationships between the buildings, on how the shape of the building is actually, you know, influencing this, on the energetics of different floors, how to choose between different apartments, right? So when are these courses going to be held? So guys, this is something where you really want to pay attention, because we're going to start fairly soon. Yeah, module 1 is going to start 17th of May. And then you'll have about 1 month to digest that. And then we'll start module 2 on the 17th of June, 1 month later. And then 1.5 months later, we're going to start module 3. Now, this is just the release dates. After you enroll, you will have lifetime access to this data. So you can watch lessons again and again, this year, next year, 10 years from now, because all this is going to be put on Teachable. Yeah, all the videos that are the lessons of these modules are going to be put on Teachable, and you will be given access to that, and you will be able to watch them there anytime you like. So basically, it's video on demand. This is how it works. What will you get? Each module will have the video lessons that I was talking about. You'll have a course book. Where applicable, you will get some cheat sheets when there are various formulas or things that can be, practically summed up in a cheat sheet. And then we're also going to have a walkthrough with each of the modules. So in these walkthroughs, I'm going to show how we do it, right? And then each module will come with 4 Q&A sessions, right? So how much is this going to cost you, right? So module 1, the standard price for module 1 is $897. And then module 2 is $997, and module 3, which is, you know, where the really powerful stuff comes in, is $1197. So all these 3 would normally take you to about 3,091 euros, right? Now, if you could achieve only half of what we've discussed in this presentation, that alone will give you so much more than this amount of money, right? So this is very cheap. This is so very cheap, yeah? But, okay, I know, pandemic stuff, you know, prices, whatever, right? I'm going to make it a bundle for you guys, right? And this bundle is actually going to be reduced at a fraction of this, right? So I'm going to give it to you at $1197. That is a steal, right? That is the price of module 3 alone. right? So this is an incredible deal, because the information that you get is able to give you access to things that you can then apply to for the whole of your life, right? When you move from one house to another, this is something that you can use for the rest of your life, and this is really, really life-changing. It's changed my life. But let's talk about some bonuses, right? So module 1 will come with a bonus, and in that bonus, I will teach you how to conduct a remote Feng Shui assessment and what tools to use there. So basically, you want to do the Feng Shui of someone living in a different country or in a different continent. I'll teach you how to do that. I'll give you the specific tools and the procedure on how to do that to ensure that you get accurate results. Module 2 will also have a bonus section, and this will be like, for example, steps to design a house from scratch. So when you want to do that for yourself, we're still in putting your life in order first, right? We're not talking about consultant level, but this is something that you already can do at the end of module 2. Design your house and how to do it, how to tailor it to the needs and the energy of the owners. So I'm going to teach you how to do that. And module 3 will also come with a bonus, and that's selecting the right land for your house. And that's so, so important, because the house, even though you may get it right, if it doesn't have the right land, it's not going to have something to tap into. So again, this is something that I've offered until now, which is the early bird, and this is actually going to expire tomorrow. But guys, I have an even better offer. But this, if you're still undecided, let me give you a little bit of reassurance, right? Every purchase of the bundle comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So basically, when we start the course on the 17th of May, you will have until the 17th of June a guarantee which is for the start of module 1. You will, if you don't like it, if it's too difficult, or for whatever reasons, no questions asked, you can get your money back. Yeah, you risk nothing. Okay, this is very, very important. So the idea is, are you really eager to bring this fresh energy into your life? Are you really eager to get this working for you? Because if so, this is a one-time offer. This is going to last for the next 48 hours. And this is the best thing that is going to appear for you in this time, right? So I'm going to offer you the bundle for those of you who are really eager to get in, and for those of you who are really eager to make a change. If you enroll in the next 48 hours, and I really mean 48 hours, meaning until this time, 2 days from now, you will get this at 797. Now, if you want it, how do you proceed, right? There's a PayPal link. Yeah, this is the PayPal link. You just need to write this down in your browser. Yeah, basically PayPal me/OctavianSberner, which is my name. And you will be able to make the payment there, and then you will be already scheduled to go into the course, right? What else could you buy with this money? Any kind of stuff like that, right? But how much would it last for you, right? Because the Feng Shui knowledge would actually last you for a lifetime. Or you can invest in getting harmony. And this is something which is very, very important to get, yeah? So what are you prepared to do? Are you prepared to take action? If so, this is it, yeah? PayPal, OctavianSberner, PayPal me, OctavianSberner, and this is it, right? Okay, guys, so I'm going to give you a little bit more time to write this down, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you hopefully in the course, right? Thank you.